What's up, everybody? It's Luke James, not the singer. If you're looking to get your music reviewed, you can hit up this email that's right here. But today I'm going to hit you up with my thoughts and opinions on this new debut album from slowthai called Nothing Great About Britain. Now, slowthai is a rapper out of the UK who I'm not familiar with at all, at least I wasn't before doing this review, but I had so many people requesting this review that I had to make sure I came through for the people, because you guys are the ones that make this channel happen. So I went into this pretty much completely blind. I did do a little bit of research and found out that he had some EPs and singles here and there, but I had never listened to much else from him, so this was the first time I really sat down with a full project from him and took it all in. I didn't really check many of those EPs in depth or anything like that, just sort of skimmed some stray songs here and there. But I can honestly say, after sitting with this one for a little while, I think it is certainly an album of the year contender, at least for me. So I'm glad you guys put me up on it, and maybe you guys will like this too if you haven't checked it out. It's certainly something that's a little bit different. One of the main things I like here is how he gets extremely personal and honest with his lyricism, and he raps in this very off-kilter way that, you know, it really works. It took me a little while to catch it in some spots, but he's spitting with so much passion, energy, aggression, and emotion that it really makes everything tie together nicely. It's not that he's offbeat crazy like Blueface or anything like that. He's just doing some different things with the way that he raps, and you know, that might be something a little bit different that might take you time to really take it all in like it did for me. But ultimately, I like his presentation as a rapper, the way he sounds. He just sounds very sincere. There's a bit of rawness to what he's doing that makes it stick even more. So I like him as a rapper, and that was something that really stuck with me. And as the title of the album suggests, he's getting into Britain, at least how he sees it and has experienced it. So you're going to get a lot of his own story, as well as some UK references, slangs, and locations that you might not understand. I'm a Canadian man myself, so some of the stuff he was speaking on didn't really resonate with me fully, but I'm not trying to say that that's going to take you out of the album by any means. In fact, as I was listening through, I actually picked up on some new slang and learned some new things, because I was going through on Genius, reading the lyrics, and just making sure I was clear with everything that he was getting at. But you will understand some of the stuff, like for example, on the title track, he has references that go from Buckingham Palace to Dizzy Rascal's Boy in the Corner, which by many people is considered to be a classic grime album, and that's just an all-out banger that I think works really well for the intro of this album, because it sets the tone. You got him on the end of this song, call him the Queen, a capital C-U-N-T, just, you know, he's kind of raw and abrasive with everything that he's doing. That shit was kind of wild, but he also makes it clear on here that he's proud to be British. So as I listened through this album, what I took from it was he was speaking on the harsh realities that he's seen and experienced, and yet he does want things to be better. He is proud of where he's from. So the whole idea of the title to me, I didn't take it literal as if he's saying there's nothing great about Britain, this is all shit. He's just showing you the other side of things, the more negative side of things that maybe the world doesn't see, but if you live there, you can sort of maybe you've experienced it or you've seen it more in depth. At least that's how I took it as someone across the pond in North America. So I thought that was really dope. And one of the other things I love about this is how good he is at painting pictures. I think he's a pretty solid lyricist who really draws on that passion I mentioned earlier, as well as bringing a lot of imagery into his music. So on songs like Grow Up with JK, they're speaking on the rough environments they came up in and just how they had to survive. JK had this really dope line about how fist fights eventually turn into sword fights. It was something like that. Basically the idea of how fighting when you're a child is kind of innocent, but then as people get older, the shit can get more, it can just get crazier, you know what I mean? People start bringing weapons. There is a culture of knife violence I know that people speak about in the UK, so I thought that was some imagery that was kind of gritty and just touching on some of the stuff that's going on over there. And on Peace of Mind, he's painting even more pictures. slowthai is rapping about how when he's out walking in his neighborhood, he was seeing cracks in the street, dodging syringes, and on the hook he's dreaming of a life that he ain't living. So you do get these feelings of depression, hopelessness, and despair throughout this album, and he does a really good job of driving that home by sharing experiences with you to make you connect with that. And I think probably the song that is the most vivid of all has got to be the last track, Northampton's Child. This is a track that's really sad. Just the story he's telling is very tough, as he's speaking on what it was like for him and his mother coming up. They were living in poverty. He lost a brother just after his brother had only turned 1, and then something happened. He lost him. He speaks on dealing with an abusive stepfather and more. So the content does get very grimy and gloomy, but that's something that really makes this project stick and resonate, because he's not afraid to speak on all these things and give you his truth, or at least how he sees it and what he's gone through in his life. So to go along with that, you are also getting these moments of beauty and innocence. On the single Gorgeous, this beat just sounds exactly like the title, man. It really is just beautiful and gorgeous with these sprinkled keys throughout. Very nice and vivid, nostalgic feel that's going on there. I know I said vivid a million times, but you know, if it fits, that's where it's gonna go. And this is just a coming of age track where he's speaking on some of the things he went through, once again, coming up. So he goes from the innocence of when he was having people steal his Yu-Gi-Oh cards and he was playing Game Boy to when he got a bit older and sort of started to get into trouble, you know, just when he was smoking weed, got locked up for the first time. Just a lot of stuff that I think people will really be able to relate to and connect with. Just that idea of when you're a child, you're having fun, you're not getting into too much, but then you kind of hit that point where maybe you start running with the wrong crowd, you start experimenting and trying new things. I can certainly relate to some of the stuff that he was saying here. Never been locked up or anything like that, but you know, you've messed around with smoking a little bit of weed here and there. I'm not going to run down all the shit that I did. I'm just saying I get where he's going with this. So I thought that was a really dope one. Love the beat on there. And one of the lines that stuck out to me a lot on this song was simply when he said, "Responsibility, another chapter." All of us that are grown know exactly what he's getting at there, because now we got rent, some of us have kids, we got jobs, bills, and all that shit. But remember those days when you had no responsibility, you just ran out and did what you wanted to do, it didn't matter. I miss those days, man. I'm washed up, married with 3 kids. I don't really get to live too crazy now. Still thankful and grateful for what I have, but I do look back sometimes at those days when me and my friends would just go off and do whatever we wanted to do, man, with no worries at all. So that was great, man. I just really love albums like this that are rooted in that passion, imagery, and storytelling that I've been speaking on, because that's what gives a project longevity, in my opinion. This just seems like an album that will really withstand the test of time because the stories throughout are just so clear and vivid. And what really made me appreciate this whole thing is that I went into this pretty much blind, like I said, only heard a little bit here and there, and yet I came out of this feeling like I knew who he was, where he came from, some of his experiences, and that's a powerful thing, man. That is really good lyricism and songwriting, in my opinion, so I gotta give him full props for that, and like I said, this is a really great album that might make my year-end list. And to go along with all these things I've spoken on with the rapping and the content, I gotta say that the production is pretty dope throughout here too, man. You're getting a lot of those UK-styled synthy bangers, but also some different stuff that is taking chances. So, for example, the song Toaster is this bouncy, carefree guitar joint. On this one, he's just painting this picture of sitting on his sofa, he's got crumpets in the toaster, he got his music turned up, people are knocking at the door screaming, he doesn't care, he's just kind of vibing out. I thought that was a cool feeling on that song. And Doorman, man, that track, you know, I'm not usually into this style of track. This has sort of a punk feel to it. It's just very rowdy and wild. He's got distorted vocals, he's screaming and yelling, but I just really love this song. It's just an instant shot of energy. It's like some audio cocaine. And actually what it reminded me of is something that would be in Trainspotting during a crazy montage. One of those ones where the camera's right in their face and they're like going around, they're doing lines, they're at a club, the lights are flashing. If you know, you know. And that's really what it reminded me of, man. Just a really wild track. And it's kind of funny because my 4-year-old, she loves this song, man. She calls it that fast song. She says, "Dad, I put on that fast song," and I put it on, and she's going wild. If you have me on Instagram and Twitter, you might have saw I posted a little video of that because she was having fun with that song. So that was something that I liked about that too, man. It's just, you know, my little girl loves it. I love it too, goddammit. We're both vibing out to that. Not vibing out to it, but getting wild and shit. So, you know, I just mentioned Trainspotting. That's one of my favorite movies, so that's why that song kind of reminded me of it. And he even makes a reference to that movie on the song Inglorious, where he raps, "Trainspotting, I got babies on the ceiling." If you've seen that movie, you know one of the creepiest, like just very disturbing moments in that movie, and that scene in particular is just really crazy. So I thought that was a pretty cool reference. And this song is just a nasty banger, man. This is nastier than some of the movies that Skin Diamond made. Again, if you know, you know, because that is some nasty shit. But this beat is just hitting harder than a pillowcase filled with doorknobs, and there is a great Skepta verse on here too. I like this line in particular when he says, "I'm directing movies like Gas Power, I drive the Wraith like it's NASCAR. I love the look on their faces when I look in the whip and it's a black star. That's for all the jokes about the jam jar." And I had to do a little bit of research. This comes back to what I was saying earlier, how with some of the references and stuff, I didn't get it until I looked into it further. And apparently there was a jam jar in the UK that had that gollywog character, which is basically just a caricature of, you know, how minstrel shows portrayed black people. Just some really old school racist shit, basically. So I thought that was a hard line. He's just expressing how good it feels to be in the position he's in, and people who used to joke at him, maybe when he was younger, I don't know when that jam jar was in existence, people probably used to joke with him and compare him to, you know, this caricature on the jam jar. But now he's saying, you know what, this is for all y'all who are making those jokes. I'm living life, I'm successful and happy. So that was a hard line, hard track, Love it. And you know what? This is one of those albums where there's no way I can break every single thing down. So I'm going to wrap this up right here, man. I really love this album. 4.5 out of 5. Definitely in the album of the year discussion for me. And I did pick Dead Leaves as my least favorite track, but this is another instance where I don't think it's awful, just my least favorite track on the album. I don't really find myself coming back to that one or drawn to it, so the other songs are better. And yeah, just keep in mind that I reviewed the regular release here and not the deluxe edition, but there are a handful of deluxe songs on there that are also really dope. I did listen through them. I didn't take notes and do all that because I knew this review was going to be long anyway, but those are worth checking out as well, the deluxe edition songs. So yeah, slowthai did his damn thing on this. Nothing great about Britain. Just did a great job of painting the pictures of Britain as he sees it and has experienced it, as I said multiple times. Really some good political content throughout here and social commentary, storytelling. Just the exact type of project that I love. Quality lyricism. Check it out for yourself if you haven't, man. And let me know in the comment section what you think. I always want to know. And make sure you do all that good YouTube and social media stuff where you show me love and you show me lots of it. Thank you for watching, everybody. I will see you next time.